So here I am, bright and early. Here's the sign, North Downs Way, Pilgrim's Way, and I'm in Canterbury and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. This is a record. I've actually got to the start of the walk at 5 in the morning. That's because this section of the last section of North Downs Way goes from Canterbury all the way to Dover. Now I don't know if I'm going to make it, quite honestly, because it's 20 miles. So that will be the longest I've done. So I'm going to try, that's why I'm setting off early, and then I'm going to catch the train back. So that could take me quite a while, and it's going to be a lovely warm day today. So I want to make a good head start early on and see how we go. And this will be the last section for me of the North Downs Way, walking all the way from Farnham all the way to Dover and through Canterbury. So another adventure awaits. There's a view of Canterbury Cathedral, you can see that. So straight ahead, and then taking it around, you've got the cornfield, and then you've got the sunrise. I want to see as many sunrises as I can and as many sunsets, and make the most of every single day. Sweet corn is growing. It's got a long way to go, hasn't it? But this field is right in the sun. It'll get the sun the whole day. There's another field of corn here over towards the sunrise. So the crops are still growing and food is still being produced. Look at the mist. Sunrise. And looking back towards Canterbury. There's a lovely smell of corn walking through here. There's acres and acres of corn, but it's really lovely. Just nice fresh smell, slightly sweet smell. It's going quite sort of misty now, so I'm walking into the mist, as you can see that as I get away from Canterbury. And still quite something though, the mist and the sunrise over this cornfield. A little bit chilly in the mornings when you set off this early. It's going to be warm later, over 20 degrees again. So it's always a little bit chilly. So you're never quite sure what to wear. Got shorts on. So once you get moving, you get warmed up, and you know that sun's going to burn through this mist very soon. A long one today, but Dover's 17 miles now, so that doesn't sound quite as bad, does it? I've done 2.5, so making good progress. And it's still very early, so who knows, I may even complete this record today. So if you live in this house, you've got to drive through this little stream or river. I guess if you've got a 4x4 it's fine. If not, you could get wet. This is Patricksbourne Church. It's a very historic village. It goes back to Norman times, 500 AD. It's in the Domesday Book, like a lot of these places. Ancient. I like going through a field, very clear. Can't go wrong here, can you? Huge field of corn. My legs are getting wet. I think my legs are going to get very wet through here. I guess there's worse things that can happen than A bit of water on your legs, walking through a cornfield. It's quite refreshing actually. It's a good job I didn't wear my trousers after all. Walking through the mist, sort of on the wrong side of the wood to get any sunshine, and having walked through that field, and now got wet legs. My feet aren't really wet, but got wet legs, so slightly chilly, so just keep on going and I'm sure I'll warm up. Hopefully you can see those cobwebs suspended on the corn. Can you see those? Amazing, aren't they? Who would have thought spiders put cobwebs amongst the corn? Very creative, aren't they? Catch some flies. What seemed like probably 4 miles of cornfield, which is amazing. I'm now coming into like an open meadow. It's quite a big field. You can still hear the traffic slightly because I think the road to Canterbury is not that far away, but it's a lovely walk here through this huge field, and it's just like a pasture, a meadow with wildflowers, and you don't see that many of these, but it's lovely for the wildlife, isn't it? The daisies, you can see all the types of grasses, different types of birds. So it's really nice walking through here. Makes a change from all the corn. Poppies here, you can see in the grass. Such a beautiful time of year. Even the thistles have got flowers on, purple flowers, vivid purple. And then the poppies here, and all the wild flowers around the edge of this field, which is nice. The farmers left that, isn't it? And you've got this hundreds and hundreds of acres of corn, and the nice sound of the birds. The problem with walking through corn early in the morning is you get your boots absolutely soaked and you get your feet wet. Never mind, they'll dry out soon. Hopefully you can see through the mist now. This is the first view I've got of actually anything else other than the cornfield. You can see the mist is sort of lifting, and you can see what I assume is, well, it's just Kent countryside. He's frozen, he's hiding. See the rabbit's hiding? He's frozen. Why are you scared? He's gone now. There he goes. Looks like a baby one, doesn't he? Lovely day, isn't it? These are lovely this time of year. These flowers. I have to film these things because in the winter you forget what they're like. So I've arrived at this beautiful village called Women's World. So I just thought I'd just step away from the path for a moment just to show you. This is Women's World Parish Council, Women's World Parish Church. So this is one of the churches that the Pilgrims would have stopped at. on the North Downs Way, Pilgrim's Way. Look at that wisteria there. It's a beautiful thatched cottage. Look at this really old cottage as well. So it's a really lovely village here, Woman's World. So many like this in the countryside you'd never know about unless you go and have a look for yourself. 1 to 4.5 miles I've come from. I'm going to go on down this way. I want to show you this cottage here. What an awesome wooden thatched cottage. Absolutely gorgeous, isn't it? That's where I'm heading, North Downs Way, Shepherd's Well, 3 miles. Another lovely church that it goes past in this village. And they're all sort of Norman type churches, aren't they? Look at them, very, very old. Beautiful, is it a silver birch tree there? So many churches on this route on the Pilgrim's Way. A bit of a chalk mountain there taken out of the field. Footpath goes through here. And then we come into these open pasture lands, more horses. So yes, I've been walking 4 hours now, and when I compare myself to what I was like at the beginning of the year, when I think I did about 3.5 hours on the first day of the year, my legs would ache and I'll be struggling for a few days. But now 4 hours, no problem at all, no problem at all. And I should be going for at least another 2 or 3 hours now, so that'll be getting on for 20 miles, which is what I really wanted to get to. So it's pretty much 5 months of just persistent walking and built up my strength. So it's quite satisfying, isn't it, to have done it? Old tree, come up at the roots. How long that's been gone. Wish I'd started filming slightly early because an owl flew out. I'll just have a look in here, but looks like it's all burnt inside there. I don't know if there's any chicks in there, it doesn't sound like it. But I don't know why it's all burnt inside. Weird. Some of these gates are a little bit, you think, what is the point of that? There's no fence even, but anyway. Maybe it's fallen down. Yeah, it looks like it's fallen down. Another cornfield. Whatever that building is, it's not marked on the map, so it's probably not that historic. It could just be some old farmhouse. It just looks very, very quite imposing there, doesn't it? Maybe they used to sit up there and survey their cornfield. I mean, they've certainly got enough cornfield, look at that. As far as the eye can see over here, and then over there as well. It's a special type of corn. Is it maize? Huge field, isn't it? You probably sit up there in the farmhouse surveying all this, all your corn, and then I suppose, you know, for some periods of the year you've planted your seeds and you just have to wait, I suppose. I mean, they must have other things to do, but there's really not much you can do, is there, really, to this? Just wait for it to grow. I don't suppose you can water any of this. And that's it, isn't it? The farmer plants, very busy planting, ploughing, planting the seed, but then you just have to wait for the sunshine, wait for it to grow, and then when the harvest is ripe, he'll have to come in with a big machinery and reap the harvest. but he has to do everything in the right time, otherwise there'd be no harvest. If he hadn't planted his seed, he wouldn't have any of this. If he doesn't harvest it, then he won't have any produce. Nothing really has changed, has it? It's the timeless principles of sowing and reaping. The trees there, you can see that's Waldershare House. Waldershare House. It's a stately home. The lord of the manor. The village of Waldershare. Like a lot of countryside, there'll be a lord of the manor who would own all the land and then rent out the land and cottages to the farmers in the village. So it's quite a substantial property. It looks like it's been converted into private apartments. There's a lot of cars there, and it's been divvied up, I think. Not bad. And like I said, these would have been all the farmers' cottages. It's a nicer one on the end. It's where the workers would have lived. See, where the workers lived are actually very nice compared to today's standards. Sheep have got it sorted, haven't they? They've managed to find a nice place in the shade. Not many of them like the sunshine, do they? Look at them, all hiding there under that tree. It's amazing, isn't it? And that would have been the walled vegetable garden. It's quite far from the house though, but maybe that's where they put it. But you can see it's all, don't know what's inside there. If anything now, it's all overgrown anyway. Isn't that a shame? That would have been a walled sort of vegetable allotment. Probably had some fruit trees in there as well. Into another church, I suppose. These people's relatives are long gone. 1874. Don't know if there's any more graves in there, but look at that, all overgrown. But a lovely church. Look at this. This is All Saints Waldershare, the church cared for by the Church Conservation Trust. And look at this yew tree here. This yew tree, that must be 1,000 years old. Look at that. That is an ancient yew tree. Absolutely huge. Well, if you're going inside the church, you need to clean your boots. I think I'm okay. This one needs a bit of work. It's starting to fall to bits. You can't even read what it says on it. Oh, well, it's time for lunch. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, but it's time for lunch. I mean, come on. 5 hours walking, wouldn't you be hungry? It's almost 10:30 and Dover is only 6 miles away. So that's not far, is it? So that's like 2 hours. 2 hours and I'll be in Dover. So, brilliant. Well, this is a footpath and you've got the big Chevrolet cows and a big bull, so I'm staying clear of that bull. You see him in the middle? So I don't think he'll bother me unless I bother him, so I'm staying this side, slightly further away. So just sort of no panic, just walk purposely and they should leave you alone. I think they're sort of fairly peaceful down there. But if it starts to charge, it will not be funny. He's keeping an eye on me. I think he's not bothered. Well, here's the exit from the field. I came out of a different place, but anyway, there are the cows down there. So anyway, I made it, so I'm safe until the next time. It's amazing, this farmer here has cut his hay already and gathered it in, made the bales and everything. It's all done, and it's not even June yet. Usually that's in June, and now it's been done down here, I suppose, the last week of May. I suppose we've had such good weather, so the hay is already done. Must be a good year for hay. I'm not sure what these are. I mean, if I had to hazard a guess, I would say peas, but there's no pods. There's no pods on them, at least yet. So, any guesses, let me know. But they've got a lot of it, as you can see. So whatever it is, they're going to have a big harvest this year. Are just forming. You can see there's a pod there, and these are the ones that are just forming. And then I've just picked one out here. There you have, you see the little peas inside. So it is peas. A whole field of peas. It's been put right by somebody who was walking the path, and they told me they're broad beans, but they're not broad beans for human consumption, they're broad beans for cattle. So it's growing broad beans to feed the cattle, so that's what it is. This is part of the original Roman road that would have gone from Dover to Canterbury. So this is it. It's pretty straight. They like to build them straight, and it's marked on the Ordnance Survey as a Roman road. And then I think further down here it starts to go through a field again, and then it joins. I join the Roman road a bit further up. So it'd be interesting to see what that looks like. You would never know, would you, just by looking at this, apart from it's straight, but even having said that, it's going uphill. It's the original Roman road again, but this one it goes through the field, but it's going in a direct straight line. So basically it goes in a direct straight line like this, or used to 2,000 years ago, believe it or not, from Dover to Canterbury, and then from Canterbury it goes on in a straight line to London. So going past where we live. So that's when the Romans invaded, they sort of did this Roman road, which is called Watling Street in different parts. It even goes through the Midlands, it goes through North Wales, it follows like the A5, follows the A41 through the Midlands, it follows obviously through Kent, the A2, and then it goes all the way to Holyhead in Anglesey, which is North Wales. It's like a diagonal across England, and then it goes from there, went to Ireland. So the Romans would have come through here with all their troops, with all their chariots, all those years ago. It's an amazing thought, isn't it? You're walking the same steps that they would have walked all that time ago. And this is it. Now it's a cornfield. And then it's you know, grown over in areas. It's continues to be a road in other areas, like the bit before, or it's disappeared beneath the soil. Over is 3¼ miles. Only 3¼ miles. Can you believe that? So it's nice when you can see the signpost, and it's not such a daunting number, so it sort of spurs you on to the finishing line. So it's now 11:15, so I think I should easily be there in an hour and a half or so. Display I've seen to thank all the key workers. Look at that. Look at this one. Thanks to our NHS. So the Roman road continues through the trees. This is it. This is all that's left of it. 3 miles to go. Must be getting close to civilization. We've got a little there and a big storage centre. There we go, Dover 1 mile, although it feels like I'm in the middle of absolutely nowhere, just been walking through more fields. So actually now there's some people, so maybe I'm not that far away. This is the outskirts of Dover. Looks like I'm arriving anytime soon, in the last half a mile or something like that. I'm hoping there's going to be a sign to say the end of the North Downs Way, but we'll wait and see. If not, I'll be going straight to the station. But it's been a long walk, but I'm really pleased to have done it. It's almost 20 miles. I'll check the numbers when I finish, but it's one of the longest walks I've done. This is it, the end of the North Downs Way in Dover. I've made it walking from Canterbury to Dover, about 20 miles, and that's the end, 153 miles. The whole lot from Farnham completed, so I'm so happy. And now I'm going to take the train home, but thanks for joining, and why don't you try it sometime?